Hey, it's Chris. Whew. We're going to get into it this week. A couple interesting topics, a couple interesting games that have come up. And as you know me, I'm going to make it spicy. I'm going to give you a little rant and ramble to go along with your crowdfunding roundup. All the new games that you need to know about, all the new information that goes along with them, and a little bit of everything in between. How well did I do on my predictions from last weekend? Well, it's probably looking pretty good for like maybe 2 of 3. But that third one, I was a little bit off on the prediction on that one. So, without further ado, hit the subscribe button, tune in, buckle up. Let's go. Don't skip leg day. Let's just go. Fractured Sky, then Santorini. We'll do them in that order. Funding order, if you will. Fractured Sky, a couple days in, almost at 700K. Gonna be well over that by the time you guys are watching this video. My video's out there. Now, I'm going to probably maybe put out a separate Should You Back as well. So take that for what you will. But I didn't know the pledge levels initially. I didn't know any of the extra add-ons that were going to be involved, essentially. So take that for, what you will at the same time. But this is IV Games' latest deluxification. And they're bringing you a 3 to 5 player. Now, you can do 2, but I'm going to make the argument that it's really 3 to 5. 3 to 5 player area control blind bidding style game where your airships floating around between different islands with objectives that you're going to be peeking at and stars falling in order to score victory points. How do you feel about that? Hidden objectives as well over the game? And that's just the question. How can you balance these 3 resources that you're going to be utilizing to build 2 buildings, to have skiffs, but also to manage your 3 airships that you're going to be putting little magnetic chips on the bottom of to represent the bidding that you're putting out in the first place? Is it necessary? No. Is it nice? Does it work? Yeah, absolutely. This is, as I said in my video, the most accessible IV game. Like if I had to rank all of them in terms of what would be easiest to get to the table, right? Mythic Mischief, this, Veiled Fate, Moonrakers, it's going to be this. And so that's the biggest endorsement that I can give this. I wish you guys could see my quote for this one. I use the term misunderestimate. Thank you, George W. Bush. That's what I really want to put out there, right? Like you can't misunderestimate this game. This is a good game. They give you all the stuff you need to know. Everything else is out there. Hidden information. There's not really any battling. There's not really any take that. It's just, you've got like these 8 to 10 different islands and you're going to be placing your airships down on them. You only have 3 per round. And how do you want to utilize them? Where are the stars going to potentially fall? Do you know where the stars are going to fall? Are you going for the hidden objectives? How do you want to allocate your bidding? Because you have 12 different ships of 0 to 10 value, meaning if you want to bid a 0, you can, because you can only have a sum total of 10 or less. So 0, 0, 10 is a completely feasible option for your 3 airships. And as the airships get put out there, the faster your airships get put out there, then it goes earlier in the turn order for the next round. It plays over 5 rounds. It's quick. It's an hour or less. The magnets you can see right here in the background, it works. And they're redoing all compared to my prototype version. And so production-wise, I don't really, worry about it from that side of things. That's never been an IV Games issue. It's just like, Chip Theory over on GameFound right now. Are you willing to pay a deluxified price for a deluxified game? Extra here with the lenticular cards, it's a little like holographic, you tilt them one way or the other and they give you a little bit of a thing. $49 for the base pledge, and then it jumps up by $80, which is going to get you organizers, trays, and deluxifications galore with the magnets. So Super Deluxe is going to go another $50. And so those are big jumps. Those are big price point differences, right? This has all the hollow foil stuff. This has the lenticular. This has the pre-painted. So, if you're going to get something, unless you're super big into pre-painted, and all of these are asymmetric colors already. So, it's not like they're all gray plastic chunks that you're just putting like a little ring on, like a CMON miniature, right? Like to tell which faction is yours. They're already colored wise for your individual faction. So pre-painted is probably not totally necessary, even if you're someone like myself who can't paint for worth a darn. 129. So, that's the pledge level. You're either going to get 129 or you're going to wait to retail or try and trade it. That'd be my piece of advice, knowing the pledge levels now. They're unlocking slowly more content. You're getting art prints here as you go along. They've got all these quests that you're going to be slowly doing throughout the campaign via the socials, and they run you through how to play it, and they run you through the setup and deploying and all the things that I said in my video too. All of it's straightforward there. The rulebook is there. Rulebook is fine. This is a lighter game, but as the quote, again, the quote that you missed, I compare it to a game like Hansa or El Grande, right? Not in the sense that they're anything mechanically the same, but it just proves the point that when you have games that do things well, you don't need complexity to give depth. That was my main point here. So you're just going to see what they've got to offer. Now, again, I mentioned at the beginning, it's 2 to 5 player because there's an Automa. If you want to play with an Automa, you can add it, but you need to play with the Automa if you're playing with 2 people. You just can't play with 2 by yourself. So there's the pre-painted miniatures. And yeah, those look cool. Those look cool. And the question just is, do you want to pay 50 extra bucks for them? I don't know how that is painting wise, cost wise. I have no idea. I don't stay in tune with that sort of stuff. But shipping's gonna be flat rate. That's fine. And you can check out everything else on the page if you want. So by the time you get down to the bottom here, they run you through all of the deluxifications, all of the asymmetric factions. Although I don't really think they're as much asymmetric unless they've got something else in store that I wasn't aware of. So yeah, it's all there. It's all there. They show you the deluxifications. They show you some add-ons down here as well. Neoprene mat. I'd probably pick up the neoprene mat if you're someone that's looking at like me. But yeah. There you go. Oh, little Moonrakers Starfall mini expansion. That's kind of cool. I didn't even see that the first time I glanced through. And beginning of 2024. So take that for what it will. You know, not like anyone really pays attention to that anymore. Same thing with shipping, right? You're either going to get it or you're not. So my video's down here somewhere. And that's all you need to know. Check it out. There you go. Santorini. The Co-op Deluxe Edition. I said this in my video last weekend. I hate the base retail game of this. The production quality is crap. I think it's like Spin Master or something, but the base island, you know, down here at the bottom of the picture that you set the board on itself, mine's like wonky. The board doesn't fit flush. It's just crap. It's just pure crap. And I hate saying that, but it's just not good production. Like, there's a difference between being fine and being like, whoa, right? And you're willing to pay for the whoa sometimes. But if I'm getting crap at retail, I mean, it's kind of irritating as well. Like, I wish there was no base bottom here. It's sort of superfluous with the retail edition. Like, just give me a flat board. This whole standing up thing, it just gets in the way of the retail box. Anyway, I'm diverging and divesting away from what you actually need to know. The Pantheon edition here is giving you more of the deluxifications that Roxley is known for. Again, just like IV Games. This is going to be very similar. That's why you get Roxley at crowdfunding. You're going to get a slightly better price. I just covered it earlier in the week of what games hold value and what ones don't. And you know, Radlands kind of does. The Roxley games do, for the most part. And so that's what you're looking at from this side of things as well. Now, the change here is that they've redone some of the actual stuff. And when I say stuff, I mean actual building parts, I mean cards, I mean gods. And that's sort of the blessing and the curse, and why I'm going to rant on this one a little bit is because they've basically made this into a whole new version of the game. This is no longer Santorini remastered, right? This is Santorini like 3.0, because in case you weren't aware, Santorini is actually like a 2003, 2004 game or something like that, that was a pure abstract with wooden blocks, and then Roxley picked it up when they launched the crowdfunding, whatever, like 2018 or so, and gave it a theme as well. So, do you need all this stuff is the question. And the honest answer is no. If you love Santorini, though, I mean, this is probably going to be a must-buy for you. Now, here's the tricky part. Riddle of the Sphinx. This is a cooperative expansion that not only is going to incorporate new things like bridges, but you're going to have objectives and quests that you're going to be cooperating in order to complete. And there are going to be 3 riddles on a page of 22 scenarios so far that are included in just the base pledge of it. Now, they say they're going to be unlocking more, but essentially you have these 3 quests on a board. You're going to be slowly like getting buildings because you don't have an unlimited supply of buildings to build whatever you need, and there's going to be coins that you're going to be using to buy additional building parts, and you're going to have god powers on the side that you can gather and utilize, but you only have so many workers. And so if your workers get destroyed, because one of the other actions you can do is you can take the Riddle of the Sphinx. Basically, you roll a die, and if you roll like a Dead of Winter die, and you just lose one of your workers and they get destroyed, and if all the workers are off the board, then you lose too, and you only have so much time and so many resources in order to complete these objectives. I don't know. This book is the style of things that they're going with the cooperative expansion, so it's getting away from the island that you're spending all the money on up here too, right? Like that's sort of the weird dichotomy with this, right? Like you're getting away from this thing that you're spending oodles of bucks on as a deluxified, aesthetically pleasing package, and you're getting the Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion style Spiral Bound Bone book. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I think ever since Gloomhaven did that, you know, people have looked at that and said, wow, that's amazing. I can't believe I didn't think of that. And it's great. And it adds so much value without adding so much space. But with something like this, I mean, it's sort of a little off-putting too, because you're getting something that you're not even going to be utilizing potentially on whichever side you fall. And they're also offering an upgrade kit. The upgrade kit's a little bit confusing in what they're actually offering. So you really need to look closely to what it's containing when we scroll down here. And so that's probably the biggest thing that you need to know. If you're not familiar with Santorini, I mean, you probably skipped over this part of the video anyway, but it's like basically build, move, get to the top of the tri-story building, and then you win. But if you have god powers, you get to do asymmetric abilities that are going to manipulate things as well. The difference with the co-op expansion is that you have, again, those 3 actions that I mentioned: the move or build, select the god, or do the Sphinx game, like I said, with the die rolling. Otherwise, you're earning of these objective coins, getting these objectives. Now, the tricky part is I mentioned those 3 objectives that you're doing, but you only actually have to have 1 to win. Now, if you want to ace it, you can get all 3, but like, okay? Like, again, kind of a weird split. Like, hey, if you actually want to win the scenario, we're going to give you 3 ways to win it, but if you want to be like super cool, do all 3. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of like a hard mode, if you will. But here are the pledge levels. I mean, the expansion by itself, if you're one of those people that got the original version Deluxified on Roxley's previous crowdfunding campaign, like, it's a no-brainer, right? Like, you pick up a regular Sphinx as long as you like the game. Now, the tricky part is you want all of the upgrades here: the box, the modular insert, the cards, the island board. I mean, because again, like I said, the island board was crap at the retail version, and so you're going to pay another $50 for that. Or are you going to go in and get all of this stuff anew like me? I mean, that's the big conundrum for someone like myself. My wife freaking hates Santorini, so I'm having a hard time justifying it as much as I freaking love abstracts. If you know anything about me on this channel, I love abstracts. I don't do as much review or talk about them because you guys don't love them as much as I do. But, every once in a while, one will pop out of the woodwork and, we'll see where it goes. But my wife absolutely, this is one of the games she refuses to freaking play with me. And so if I can get a cooperative, is that going to change her mind? Or is just the actual gameplay is what she hates? And that's where I'm debating, because this is another one where I look at Roxley, and yeah, you can probably pick this up on the secondary market on their website for 10, 20, 30 bucks more when it comes out there. I mean, they say this, and this is what holds true. I just don't know. Also, and this is the other divisive thing, right? They took a bunch of the gods they said that weren't as good, that weren't as utilized, that were crappy or asymmetrically overpowered or underpowered, and they just redid them. And you can get these card expansion packs that are going to be included now. But if you're one of those people, again, that has the base retail game, you're going to get the upgrade kit and get some of this stuff. But also, are you just going to get rid of your other one? Like, that's really what this is making you do, essentially. Because this is not the same at all. This is not just minor tweaks to that. And so take it for what you will. The rules are out there. The Pantheon rules, the Sphinx rules, everything is on the page as well. They run you through, here it is. But I mean, here we'll go down to the upgrade kit, I believe, here in a second if we get past this. Yeah, here you go. I mean, so it shows you what exactly you're getting, which is, I mean, useful. I like this. And if, Roxley holds true with this, with like they did with all their others, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a significantly better situation. But you'll notice that nowhere on this page do you see Golden Fleece either. And I just ran into some comment sections talking about how no one plays Golden Fleece. As weirdly as that is, right? Like, that's like out of print too. And so take that for what you will. Back with a buddy and get 20% off, I guess, whatever. They've got some stretch goals here. So again, Roxley, you're going to get a little bit extra. You're not going to get a ton, but you're going to get enough to justify it as well between the price point and the extra stuff. And these are all like reveals and some social media stuff, 20 funding goals essentially. So this one is definitely a tune into the end, but this may be one of the few freaking games I ever consider buying twice. One of the other only games that I've done that with is Root. Ask me how that's going too, by the way. That's it though. And this one, just like Fractured Sky, I guarantee you, I would be shocked if it doesn't, both of these are going to break $1 million, which is why I was 2 for 2 so far on my predictions. The third one though, the third one's not going to hit $1 million. We'll talk about that in a little bit though. That's Santorini, the co-op Santorini. Not that kind of co-op, but cooperative. No vegetables included. Now, Scott Holmes, Buttonshot Games, they're putting out another solo game. Solo game only. This is the Royal Limited. You're making a train. It reminds me of one of those other train games with cards that you're just laying them out, but this one, unlike that one, unlike the other one, this one's just solo. And you're getting a little expansion like Buttonshot always does, is included basically with your pledge level, which is an incentive to get it here. And you can get all their previous collection as well for $50. I mean, they offer a variety or smattering of their previous collections every time, and they get somewhere between about $25,000 and $100,000 on every campaign. They kill it. So $12 price point, you got to be, really impressed by what they put out and how they get people, and people love these stuff. So me, I'm not terribly always a solo gamer. Like, I learn a lot of games solo, but I don't play a lot solo by myself. This one, essentially what you've got is you've got several different markings on the trading cards. You've got a color, you've got a number. And so you can't put trading cards next to each other that have the same color or the number. But in order to play it, you also have a number in the upper corner that you're going to be dealing with as well, which is how many cards you have to discard in order to put it down next to your other trading cards in the first place. You can lay them horizontally next to each other, or you can lay them vertically underneath each other for a different manner. The expansion that adds additional content is going to be a different color situation that you're going to be adding to the collection. I believe there's 4 colors in the base game, if I remember this correctly. I'm probably wrong. And then you're also getting these VIPs, because in each train car, what you're essentially being able to do is place 1 passenger, but you're only getting several of these VIPs, only 2 of the possible 10 in each game. And you basically have 4 rounds to lay as many track cards as you want down. At the end of each round, you actually have to discard all your cards. So you have to find the right combination of, putting them down, because when you put them down also, it activates the special ability at the bottom of this card when you have a passenger in it. So then it's going to allow you to, say, draw extra cards or discard cards or manipulate things. And so how you can chain that engine building combo, engine building, you see what I did there? Combination of passengers, cars, and discards together. That's it. That's all you need to know. I told you everything right there. It's $12. Boom, you can get the other stuff if you really want. And $14 is going to get you the expansion. So you get the $14 pledge level. There's no question about it. So they put out a solid product. You know what you're getting. You know when you're getting it. You know how you're getting it. Just another one in the line of things which appeals to you more or less. Royal Limited. Check it out. Next up, we have Tall Tales. This is a trick-taking game by Rand. If this is the same Rand I know from Board Game Geek, then good on him, because this is the first game that they're putting out. And this is coming actually from the makers of Portents, New Mill Industries. You may remember me covering Portents earlier last year as one of the very under-the-radar but really solid-looking abstract games. And again, this one didn't go widely to retail. I think Portents didn't. So this is going to be something relatively similar. Now, this is a new spin on the trick-taking style of game in a 3 to 4 player situation, where you essentially are just trying to get the highest card value into your discard pile at the end of the game. But you're going to be doing that over 4 rounds, where essentially what you're doing is you're playing and following tricks like you normally would. But depending on who wins the trick and what rank order that you are then grabbing cards out of a memory market that are going to go into your discard pile. And why is that important? Because the discard pile then becomes your hand for the next round. So you're going to be grabbing cards that not only going to allow you to win tricks, but lose some tricks, but then also finally at the very end up with the highest card that you can possible in order to win the actual game. Now, there's also going to be point scoring going along the way with that, I believe. And you can check out a little bit of videos here. The rulebook is out there as well. You got a couple of reviews from Blue Peg, Pink Peg, as well as Suzanne from Salt and Sass and the Dice Tower. And then you also have a Space Biff quote there in addition. So again, it's not really going to be widely available otherwise. They're not going to intend to sell it otherwise. And it's a fun game and it's a trick taker. So do you want something new? Do you want something slightly different? No stretch goals. Boom. It's all you need to know. $5 for shipping, and check it out if you're interested. Party on, Rand. Good job, man. So, Flutter. I had to check this one out because this is the same Flutter that I covered earlier in the year. This is the same Flutter that launched over on GameFound. This is the same Flutter that launched and gained only about $9,000. And now in less time than it got, considerably on GameFound, it's got $21,000. And this is going to be the little side rant here. Like, I think this difference, not that the campaign is necessarily different. The game definitely isn't any different. What's the difference? It's on Kickstarter instead of GameFound. So, if you have a small project right now, we have not seen the GameFound trickle-down effect. Kickstarter has the trickle-down effect that GameFound doesn't. GameFound has really not lended itself to anything but the big name, big projects. I hate saying that. Like, I'm a big fan of GameFound. I love covering games on GameFound, but this is something that was bound to fail. We've seen more of these fail on GameFound in the last year and a half, and go over to Kickstarter and crowdfund there and don't, this is literally almost 250% times the amount of funding that they got. And they only got like $90-some before they canceled. Now you're at $22,000. You're not even having trouble fund. That's significant that I feel like no one else is talking about. I got to put that out there. $29. It's a polyomino laying game where you're creating flowers on a turn-by-turn basis, where you have to lay these polyominoes. And in order to create the flower on a turn-by-turn basis, you have all these different shapes, you have all these different colors, you have all these different matching issues that you're going to be getting. And then you also have the upgraded Deluxified version if you want a wooden version of it, which is cool but unnecessary as well. You just want to pay extra for Deluxifications. That seems to be the theme of this video this week. Like, where are you willing to pay for this? How are you willing to play for this? It gives me sort of a different vibe of Planet Unknown in just a slightly central board-esque way. Instead of having your each unique individual boards, you're going to be laying these little bees on them as well to score differently as you place them down. And I mean, it's got some stretch goals it's hitting. Again, nothing is different this time as far as I'm aware completely from a gameplay standpoint. So Why is it doing better? I mean, again, I think it's just pure exposure. I think it's just pure exposure on Kickstarter. You can say maybe it's the Dice Tower preview. You can say maybe it's some of this stuff, but I don't think this stuff is terribly new. Plenty of videos, plenty of availability on the previous campaign, but this one is just all of a sudden doing that much better. And there's really only one thing I can describe it to, as you already heard me rant and rave. So that's Flutter. Now, let's talk about this one because Navkakri, I'm going to talk about it because it's like an abstract style game where you're building these mills. Essentially, if you have 3 in a row, tic-tac-toe, in any direction, you basically get to take off one of your opponent's pieces. When you get your opponent's pieces down to 3, then it breaks the rules. And not only then you can place these pieces not adjacent, but you can fly them anywhere over the board. Then the goal is to get your opponent down to 2 places or 2 pieces that they can then no longer create any combinations of because you really need 3 in a row. If you can do that, you win. It's interactive, it's light-based, it's electronic. But I have to point out the fact that, I mean, it's $13,000, but holy cow, Batman, it's over $200 for this game. It's a ton of freaking money. Are you willing to pay $200 for an electronic version of a board game? Are you? Speaking of deluxifications, right? Are you willing to pay for electronic chess? That's, 4, 5, 6, 7 times the value of a regular chess set? Is it worth it that much? That's the question you got to ask yourself. So it lights up, it lifts up, it's interactive in terms of who's planning, and it tells you when somebody's won with lights. So you cool with that? If you're cool with that, give this one a look-see. There's enough on the page that you can get a good sense of what the game actually plays like. Here's what the board actually looks like in terms of the setup and how many are in a row and where the areas you can place them are. A few stretch goals, a few discounts, everything you need to know. Early birds as well. By the time you're watching this, they may be gone. They may not be. I don't know. Navkakri. Okay, we're going there. Thorgal. This is the one I was wrong on. I said this could maybe break $1 million. Yeah, I overhyped it and overestimated that. I think it was a very questionable thing to ask, if that makes sense, right? I'm going with the Lieges here. Because, I mean, this is a miniature-based narrative campaign game with an RPG element, right? Like, how many of those games have we seen over the last, 6 months, year, 2 years, that all of a sudden break out in, getting $600,000? I mean, we just saw the Maladum game that came out of nowhere as well from the RPG side of things with the miniature war-based games. So this is getting $78,000. Why is that? I mean, again, it's not for lack of information. I talked about it in the video this past weekend on the preview side of things, saying, you know what, they had like 14 or 15 updates out talking through all of the elements of the game. So why isn't it doing better? I have no idea. This is one of those where, if it would be funding at $600,000 right now, I wouldn't be surprised. If it's at this $78,000 right now, I have no doubt surprised either. Why though? Can you explain it? No, I can't. And I'm someone who does this like on a weekly basis more than anyone else almost, more games covered. And I just can't tell sometimes why some of these do so well and some of these struggle. Scenarios, 7 standalone. I mean, I guess that's the real issue, right? It's 7 standalone. Are you getting perceived value, especially when the pledge level for the base game alone is going to cost you $100? And so that's probably the biggest comparison point right now. Like $100, you can get this or you can get Zombicide. Which are you feeling more value-wise that's going to be, better? And Portal, I mean, they haven't been known for this style of game, so this is a bit of a departure for them. I mean, I'm not saying that's a negative. I'm just saying that as a truth. Like, with some of the issues with Robinson Crusoe and the significant delays, mostly probably because they went with heavy plastic and heavy miniature-based situations that they didn't really need, is there some trickle-down effect? Is there some carryover from that? I don't really know. Probably not too much because, again, people who are getting Robinson Crusoe probably aren't looking at Thorgal very heavily. So take that for what you will. It's probably more coincidence than anything else. But here you're getting some GameFound exclusives, and you have these scenarios which you're playing in sort of an RPG-esque style and seeing what you can get. Now here's the stretch goals that are doing unlocks as well. So additional scenarios, additional characters. So I mean, you're going to end up with more than 7 by the end. I mean, I'm sure they have a couple, like 3 or 4 extra planned. And they run you through some of the details and some of the advantages and why you're going to get this. The gameplay highlights the action system that you're going to be utilizing as you go across and going to combo these action systems together. The polyomino system to wander through territories and defeat the enemies as you go. Again, like, I don't know. Like, this is one that I could see going either way. I just don't know why it's doing the way it is. Are people starting to get a little bit saturated from this market? That's the only thing I can think of. At the same time, I look over at Zombicide and you look over at Chip Theory, and obviously the answer is no, but maybe just people are being more selective, right? Maybe that's what it is. So if you want to check out the mechanisms, I mean, they've had the rulebook up since prior to the campaign. And so if you really want to check out what that action selection system is, I think you need to actually give it a look-see, give it a chance. But ultimately, is it different enough? Is it going to stand on its own? What is it going to look like? How is it going to compare later on? And those are the questions that are a little bit of an unknown. And so I can see why people hesitate, but I mean, it looks solid? Question mark? I don't know. What do you think? Let's see what we got next. Now we're going to talk about Archon Studios, because it's Archon, it's a tabletop adjacent, they're a tabletop game company. Dungeons and Lasers 5, The World of Du Slayer. Now this is obviously not a board game, but you know, I decided to cover it because you're getting a ton of miniatures, and actually the miniatures look really kind of cool. And Archon Studios has a really good, at least I think decently good reputation for these miniatures. I mean, look at that Beholder. That looks freaking awesome. Now, it's number 5, which is kind of weird because you go over here and you see number 5 right here, Heroes of Might and Magic, like I talked about, this Rampart, which is something different. Then you have 3rd edition and 2nd edition, and I don't know what happened to 4th edition, so take that for what you will. You're going to get a whole bunch of stuff. If you're watching this, you're too late for the early backer thing. That's going to get you some free stuff. And then you get all these miniatures and all this cool stuff and all of these sets that you can get differently and how you want to D&D it up, and check it out if you want. I mean, it's not my ilk, but there are some cool looking miniatures in here at least. So I don't know, just thought I'd throw that out there. That Beholder's kind of cool. So there you go. That's it. Now, Roll With It, the fantasy box set. Now, this is interesting because this funded previously was a print and play roll and write, but you're getting them all in one as an actual printed version, and that doesn't seem to be quite as appealing with only about 25% of the funding right now that it's going into at this point. And that's because the printed version is going to cost you $45 here. That's not inexpensive for a printed roll and write, right? So, I mean, it's a dungeon-esque RPG crawl roll and write. And if you want to do that, you can easily do it. They run you through everything you need to know here. Combat, collecting relics, artifacts, how to play. Yeah, it's all out there. You can get the print and play version if you want to get it. And that's like $9. So $9 to $45. That's a big price point jump. And I'm guessing that's probably why you're seeing some of the lack of funding at this point. But it's a nice concept. But, I mean, roll and write sometimes are best left as roll and write. So we'll see if this one picks up any more steam before it ends up elsewhere. Next up, TAH Wars. I'm not going to try and mispronounce that. This is a dice tower game where you're actually dropping dice into the tower as part of the main mechanic here. And we'll talk about that in a second. This has been on one of the pre-launched crowdfunding pages for quite some time. And so it just all of a sudden dropped. No fanfare, nothing else. Announcement-wise, no else, content. And it's from Bored to Death, the channel. And so they've got 1 or 2 other games under their belt, previously funded. They did their 10th season on here as well. I had to go look and see what their other created ones were. But you've got like this almost area control-esque game with these dice towers that you're going to be literally dropping dice into. And depending on what side they roll on, that is potentially going to do damage to the opponent as they drop a die back to defend themselves. And if you hit them 5 times essentially, or hit people 5 times in general, you win. And you're going to be gathering resources based on dies that you're gradually going to be increasing in the set areas that are out on the board in the first place. And if you pass on that turn and don't bring them back in, then you get to increase the die by a number, but then like other people can send their troops there and like stop you from getting resources. So it's got some stuff going on. Now, here's the interesting thing though. I mean, the dice towers themselves 3D printed here, and I'm guessing that's why they're individually 3D printed, not like molds, not like from a company. I don't really know why you're getting $90 for a price point of this game with cardboard dice towers. That's the big thing. It's going to cost you $90 more to get the deluxe, but it's also getting you a new tumbling dice as well. Like that's just kind of a weird combination. Now, if you just want to get this, I mean, it's still going to cost you $45 for 6 plastic dice towers, which is crazy to me. I love me some tumbling dice though. I've got a copy sitting right over here to the right of me. And it's a great game, but I'm not sure the two of these necessarily go together in that sense. I mean, they're both using kind of, I guess, the same mechanic, and maybe that's where you're going with these dice that you're going to be rolling through the dice towers themselves, a bunch of different maps. I mean, check it out. It's expensive, though, for what it is. It is. They say they're in cooperation with Eagle Griffin Games. Needs something else. It's clearly not hitting home with people, and it's only got 19 backers, so we'll see. But there you go. That's it. That's the roundup. A little shorter than usual. Kind of nice. Didn't have as many games to cover, but, I just like talking about games, so it doesn't really matter if this video is like 15 minutes long or, 55 minutes long. I just like talking about them. I just love talking about them, period. Crowdfunding games especially, but a bunch of retail as well. So I'll have a couple reviews up this coming week. Let's see, what do we got coming out? This weekend or possibly even Monday is going to be Marvel Age of Heroes from WizKids. I'm going to be doing that review. That one's going to be up. I've got the Starfighters, Alley Cat Games' real-time allocation style X-Wing Armada-ish game. I got that one. And then there's something else. Oh, yes, I just finished filming my top 10 of 2022 in case you missed that on the main page of the channel. So that one will probably maybe be out next week. Maybe. We'll see. Might be the week after. You know, we're already past April Fools. No, but I got it done. I really got it done this time. Spoilers. I may have not been able to actually find one of the games in my collection. I may have an organization problem. The first step is admitting you have a problem. Have a great freaking day. I don't know what tomorrow's video is going to look like. There's not a ton launching next week. There's 2 that are heavily on my radar, but that third might turn into a little bit of a rant ramble or something else altogether. So we'll see. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. Don't skip leg day. I didn't. And the day you're watching, this is going to be my second leg day because I'm breaking it into quads and like a little lower back and then hamstrings and the other part of lower back. And so it splits it nicely. And one of my weakest areas, you know, gotta work on your weaknesses, folks. Work on your weaknesses. I need to go do 6 minutes of abs. Peace out.